Rick Saccone ahead of next week's closely contested House election. Saccone facing off against Democratic Conor Lamb in the first special election of a politically packed 2018. Now here's the president on Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd.
It's 1999. I'm on Meet the Press, a show now headed by Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch, I'll tell you. And they showed it this morning, 1999, and I'm talking about North Korea. You got to take them out now. And then they have Clinton saying, we are pleased to announce that we have made a deal with North Korea. Well, you know how that deal turned out, right? We gave billions and billions of dollars and lots of other things, and we got nothing. But they show me young, handsome. I said, why couldn't I look like that today? I should have run back then, right? Huh? I should have run back then. I would have done this earlier.
Here to react, former Trump deputy campaign manager David Bossie and former senior advisor to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Philippe Rines. All right, so David, that was the president having some fun with sleepy-eyed Chuck Todd and talking about back in the day that he was right on dealing with North Korea. He was praising himself for having the foreknowledge to know how to get a deal done and was talking about how things are looking good on the peninsula, but he's going in there very clear-eyed. He's optimistic, but also rational at the same time. What did you think about the president's speech tonight?
Well, it was vintage Donald Trump. This is a tremendous speech. He talked about promises made during the campaign and promises kept that he's keeping for the American people right now during his administration, from building the wall to our peace and security abroad, bringing peace through strength back to America, that Reagan doctrine. Whether it's our economy, the tax cuts, he hit on all of the important issues at this great rally, this great speech tonight that he gives. But it brought me back to the campaign because he won because he was having fun, he was authentic, and that's really what brought him close to the American people.
And Philippe, this type of Trump has to terrify you and Democrats because the man is loose. He's confident, he's entertaining, he's taking shots at the media. You know the public loves that. How do you see it?
Well, I have to admit I didn't enjoy the walk down memory lane as much as David did, but I had three things that I thought. First is, boy, does Donald Trump know how to keep an audience in the palm of his hands. It actually is remarkable to watch. Second, I understand why that man won in 2016, and I understand, I'm not terrified, but I understand why he may very well win again in 2020. But here's the bottom line and why we're sitting here. Donald Trump should not be in Pennsylvania right now. He should be at Mar-a-Lago. This is a district that he won by over 20 points. This is a district that has been safely Republican for a long time. It is right on the border of Ohio and Virginia. Yet, this is not even his first time. This is his second time. Mike Pence has gone in. Ivanka has gone in. The Republican Party has had to throw in $10 million.
Listen, you know the president has to spend time there because Joe Biden's been there. If the left is going to bring out the heavy hitters and going to dump millions of dollars into this race, then the president's going to have to do whatever he can to shore up the congressional majorities. That's not a desperate play.
This should not be a
That's just pure politics.
This should not be a toss-up race. It just shouldn't, any more than it should have been with Roy Moore. And I think there's a problem here because, look, I'm not going to pretend that there's a participation prize if Lamb loses. I know that better than anybody. But
well, what do they call him? Conor Lamb, the sham? Listen, I think the president's going to put this guy Saccone over the top. Let's listen to some more sound, and then we'll get your reactions. Let's hear it.
Prior to the election in 2020, every one of those guys, we really endorse Donald Trump. We think he has to win. You know why? Because if I don't win the election, their ratings are going to go so far down, they're going to be out of business, every one of them. Can you imagine? Can you imagine covering Bernie or Pocahontas? Pocahontas, how about that? Pocahontas.
All right. So, David, the president has a point there. He's an incredible individual to cover, whether you like him or dislike him. The man is going to bring ratings. Do you actually think, though, that the media wants President Trump to be elected just for the ratings, or do you think they hate him so much that they'd rather have a boring candidate to cover for 4 years?
I'm pretty sure the latter. They have proven and shown over and over again that they hate this president. The mainstream media is clear in its coverage of this president. The dishonesty in which they cover him has never been seen before. So I think that this president continues to attack and continues to point out to the fake news divisions that he's onto them. He knows what they're about, and he lets the American people know about it so that when they are reading the fake news, they look at it with that clear-eyed.
Philippe, let me ask you a question politically from a Democratic perspective. Mm-hmm. If the media covers the president 91% negative, and the public knows that, do you think that when the president bashes the press and that gets a great reaction, do you think the negative coverage of the president by the mainstream media hurts the Democratic Party?
Well, I can't buy into either of the things you said. I don't know that it's 91%. And if it is, maybe.
Well, according to a recent study by the Media Research Center. But go ahead.
And I don't know. But I would say this: I'm not sure what the point of him spending 10 minutes. I understand the crowd loves it, but Saccone is not running against CNN. And by the way, I told David this before we came in. I watched the entire rally on CNN just so I could say that CNN did cover every second of it live. And contrary to what the president said,
well, good,
he actually did get very positive reviews on CNN about North Korea the day after. So I think everyone's trying to call it like they see it.
I don't know what CNN did after the North Korea announcement, but we all could agree as Americans that it's a very positive development. We haven't seen that type of diplomacy in quite some time. Let's hear some more sound from the President of the United States.
And the ratings are lousy, by the way, and compared to Fox, their ratings. They couldn't believe it. The worst of them, CNN, MSNBC, which is worse than, I think I have a new, MSNBC, third rate, and NBC, which is horrible. Their newscast, by the way, is not doing well on NBC network. They're heading down the tubes. But listen to this. I did The Apprentice on NBC for 14 seasons. I made a lot of money for them. We had a big successful show. Arnold Schwarzenegger failed when he did The Apprentice, and he's a movie star. Martha Stewart failed when she did The Apprentice, and I just kept chugging along. Every year it was a big hit. I mean, I did The Apprentice, made them a lot of money, gave them good ratings when they were absolutely dying, and they do nothing but kill me. NBC is perhaps worse than CNN, I have to tell you. And MSNBC is horrible.
Okay, so more media bashing from the president, David. I mean, the hits keep on coming. What do you think?
And Philippe pointed it out earlier, which is the president keeps the crowd, 20,000 people, 15,000 people, in the palm of his hand. And that's how he does it. He entertains the crowd. He brings them into the conversation. He engages them through using these mainstream media attacks on himself and the dishonesty every day that he sees, and he points it out. And that's the authenticity. People have never seen a fighter. This president, as a candidate in 2016, was the best counter-puncher that politics had ever seen, bar none. When he was attacked, he hit you back harder. And that went for the media as well, and they were not used to taking the shots that he gave them.
So that's a good point, Philippe. The president has the ability to position himself still as the incumbent, as the underdog. He's the underdog when it comes to the media and when it comes to the establishment and much of the conventional thinking. Is there any other candidate that you see going forward in the next few years on the Democratic side that can kind of galvanize that momentum to his or her advantage and at the same time be as entertaining and as enthralling as this president can be when you see him off prompter at a rally?
I would say a few things. I would say first, I don't think anyone is going to be able to out Donald Trump. But we are sitting here in 2018, not in 2020. And
Right.
this is not about the president's ratings. This is about 2018. In a few months from now, he very much might lose the House. And I think David, I hope, would agree that it's a tough slog, and they cannot put every one of these races, dozens of them, millions and millions of dollars and time. And the third thing I would say is, you played that clip about Chuck Todd, about what the president said. And, the president in 1999 was not a Republican. He wasn't even a Democrat. He was part of the Reform Party. And I think that gets to a big problem that the Republican Party is having, is that he is almost running against his own party as much as anything else. When we were watching in the green room, one television was on Fox, one television was on Fox Business News, and I was watching Lou Dobbs, and the graphic at bottom said Speaker Ryan and Mitch McConnell are trying to get Donald Trump to change his position on tariffs. And
right. So that's an interesting point. Let me ask David to respond to that, because the president, or when he was running for president, was also, to a certain extent, running against his own party, did not have 100% support from within the own party, and he had said negative things about George W. Bush, about Clinton, about Bush 41. You heard him tonight say negative things about Ronald Reagan on trade. Do you think that that can continue to work to his advantage politically, in a sense, by running against both parties in Washington?
Look, it's very unconventional, but it is part of who Donald Trump is. It's part of his background, as Philippe talks about. He was not always who he is today. But the American people, that's the authenticity of him. I go back to it. It's one of the major reasons he won in 2016 was for that very reason. And for him to be running against the Republican establishment on certain issues and against the Democratic Party on other issues only helps him and makes him not a politician, but a change agent in Washington who is going to get things done for the American people.
All right, speaking of change agent, the president broke some news tonight about his new slogan in the next few years. Let's hear what it is.
Our new slogan, when we start running in, can you believe it, 2 years from now, is going to be "Keep America Great!" Exclamation point. Keep America great.
So, Philippe, if the economy continues to improve and wages are growing as they are, and there's record jobless rate when it comes to blacks and Hispanics, do you think the president and that slogan will be effective?
Well, I think I probably would have gone with "Keep America Great" always, just to keep the CAG on. I'm not sure CAG sounds as great. Maybe he's trying to save a character on Twitter. Look, I think you hit the nail on the head. The economy is what, to the extent that his numbers are what they are, which I think are low by any standard, it's the economy that's keeping them up. And look, if I were David, and I was looking back at 2016, I was looking forward to 2020, I'd feel pretty good. I'd feel pretty good about CAG or whatever you want to call it. If I were the head of the RNC right now, I would not, because I don't think, yes, he was authentic in saying that I'm going to blow the place up. I don't think the Republican establishment thought that they would be caught in the room with the grenade.
Yeah, well, listen, there's a long way away into the midterms. David, I got to run because we got to pay the bills. But thank you guys for sticking around. And, Philippe said a lot of positive things about President Trump tonight. We're going to keep those in the vault and play them for them again in a few months.